Hello, it's Mrs. Paige-Gruber here. I want to review for you some of the long division that we've been learning in 5th grade. And aside from basic long division, our first little more tricky thing will be dividing with decimals. So I wanted to show you what you should be doing when you're dividing with a decimal. So you see here there's a decimal in our dividend. There are no decimals over here in our divisor. So the first thing we do is we're just going to pop that decimal up into our answer. And that gives us a good space to work. And then we're going to do our long division just like we normally do. We're going to find out how many 3's can go into 3. And I know that 1, and then I multiply, subtract, make sure this is less than my divisor, and then I bring down the next number. I see that 2 cannot be divided by 3, so it goes 0 times. 0 times 3 is 3. I subtract and I get 2 again, which is less than 3, so I bring down my next number. 24 divided by 3 goes 8 times. 8 times 3 is 24. When I subtract, I get 0, so that means I am done. And if I ever get a number down here, we would not write a remainder. We would add a 0, bring it down, and keep going. But since I did get a 0, we're done there. Now, what do we do if there is a decimal in our divisor? So let's look at this problem. We're doing the same numbers we did over here, but this time there is a decimal. We need to basically get rid of this decimal and turn this into a whole number. And in order to do that, I have to multiply this by 10. What happens to a decimal number when I multiply it by 10? The numbers shift to the left, and this decimal actually, we talk about shifting the decimal to the right and move it there. So then my new number is actually 3. And whatever I do to this number here, I have to do to this number here. But there is no decimal obvious in this problem. So it's a whole number. All whole numbers have a decimal on the right side after the ones place. So if I shifted the decimal one place here, I need to shift the decimal one place here. But there's no number, so I add my decimal, I fill it in with a 0, and I would extend my line, and then I would divide. So what I just did is I made this new problem like this, and there is my new problem. And then I will do the long division. 3 divided by 3 is 1. When I subtract, I get 0. I'm going to bring down my 2. 2 divided by 3 is 0. It can't happen. 0 times 3 is 0. When I subtract, I get 2, which is less than 3, so I bring down my 4. 24 divided by 3 is 8. 8 times 3 is 24. When I subtract, I get 0. I notice there's another 0. I bring it down. 0 divided by 3 is 0. And I'm done. There are no more remainders. 0 times 3 is 0, and if I subtract, I would get another 0. So I went ahead and got rid of the decimal. I shifted over here, so I shift over here. Whatever I do on this side, I have to do on this side. That's the rule. So I'm going to show you one more really quickly. What do I do if there are 2 decimal places here? It's the same rule. I'm going to shift this over 2 spaces. I'm going to write my new decimal there. So I'm changing this to 24, which basically I multiplied by 100. So over here, I'm going to add my decimal, shift it over, or multiply by 100, add 2 zeros, extend my line, and divide that way. I see that 48 can be divided by 24. 2 times 24 is 48. When I subtract, I get 0. All of these zeros would end up dividing by 24 would be 0, so I'm going to write my zeros up here, and I'm done, and my answer is 2,000. The decimal is kind of important to keep in place. Even if we put it here, we know that we have a whole number, it's fine. If we ever had to add numbers after the decimal, that's what we would do. I will go ahead and make a I will post this onto the dojo site so everyone can get a great link for it. Thank you. I hope this helped.